Hello, welcome to the weekly training webinar for BP Logix. I'm Dale Franks. One of the issues with doing 2 hours of live TV a week, and that's what this webinar essentially is that sometimes it goes really well, and sometimes it doesn't go well. And this is one of those times when I'm doing something brand new, something we've never covered before, and I'm now about to reattempt to do it from scratch live, that I wonder whether this is one of the weeks that it'll go well or doesn't go so well. Because we are going to talk about the brand new control that was introduced in version 6.1, the data list control. Now, I have given a couple of webinars on this, actually more than a couple. We've kind of followed it through its development from conceptual screenshots to the final thing. So I've covered it in the Feature Spotlight webinar on a monthly basis, but I've never actually gone into depth of building a form that actually uses it and starting it off from scratch. And that is what we are going to do today. We're going to start with a blank slate, and we are going to build out a data list on a form and take a look at the different features that we have available to us as we create it. This is a new control. I'm obviously not as familiar with this as I am with some of the older controls. So we are going to work our way through it today to rebuild the application that I've already built and demonstrated in the Feature Spotlight webinar. So with that in mind, keeping our fingers crossed, complicating factor. I just had an update to a new version of Process Director on my machine. And so fingers crossed that everything works the way that I expect it to work on this machine, having just been recently updated, because there is the additional thing of being on a bleeding edge version of the product. But with all that said, let's get into it. So let's look at the application that I've built, and then we'll go ahead and reconfigure it. It's not really even an application. It's just a form. We're not going to get into timelines or anything like that. The data list control is largely form centric. It doesn't actually save data, and it's not really used in a process timeline, although there are things that you could do with it in a process timeline, such as call it, well, actually, you wouldn't even call it. You could run a set form data action based on it, I think, if anything was selected, but I'm not even sure that would work. It has very limited application and timeline. So we're just going to stick with the form. And I have this form that I've built. Right now, we're not seeing anything. It looks pretty blank. In fact, we're not even seeing the data list itself. So let's go ahead and show it. So I have the data list hidden. And the reason that I do that is because this is probably going to be the most common use case for having a data list on a form. I might have a whole bunch of data, as I do here. I've got 826 items in 42 pages, but the page size is only 20. Also, I appear to have there, that's what I wanted to see. There was a little display glitch there. It wasn't quite giving me my full height, but I've got 20 pages worth of data on this data list, or 20 items per page, and it comes out to 42 pages, 826 items. Now, in the past, if you'd wanted to see a whole bunch of items from an external database and select them, perhaps to pick a particular item out of the data list, you would have had to do it in an array, really, which is an extraordinarily bad idea because let's say I wanted all of these fields in an array. How many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 9 fields in 826 records. So 9 times 826 is going to come out to somewhat less than 9,000 records or 8,000 records, or not, I'm sorry, not 8,000 records, 8,000 form fields. So you're going to end up with 7,000-ish plus form fields on a form. Performance is not going to be great, because all of the form controls have to be drawn on the form. They all have to exist as form controls. They all have to have properties that are available on the client and the browser. It's just going to eat up a huge amount of memory. Now, there are ways around this by not pulling data back until I have filtered it sufficiently so that I pull, many fewer rows, but it's still cumbersome and unwieldy. So when I have this external data and I want to pick something from an external data source, how do I get that into a form? That is the question that the data list answers, because what the data list provides is a window into large sets of data without using excessive memory resources. So yes, there are 826 items, but I'm only showing 20 at a time. And only the data from these 20 items are being displayed, and they're being displayed inside a single control, the data list control. So I am not using, 20 times 9, which would be, what is 20? 10 times 9 is 90. 20 times 9 would be 180. So, normally if I wanted to show 20 records and I was doing it in an array, that would be 180 fields that would have to be displayed on a form. But that's not what's happening here. I'm displaying a single control on the form. And what that form is doing is it's only painting the data for 20 records at a time. So it's not until I click a page. So if I go to page 5 and look at the airports on page 5, it's now going to dispose of the 20 records that it was showing me on page 1, and it's going to purge them from memory, and it's going to draw the 20 records that are on page 5. Now I can change this. Obviously, I can go to 20 or 50 records, and I can just pull 50 records instead of 20. Doesn't matter. It's still only going to show me the records that are on this page, and it's going to show me in a single control. Now, it's a really cool control because it has a lot of stuff that we can do with it, but it's going to use up a lot less memory. So I get access to my 826 records, and I can see them all, and I can scroll through them, and I can do some other things. I can filter and sort. For example, I think this is all sorted by, is it sorted by code or airport name? I'm not sure, but I can resort it. So that's sorting it A to Z. I can sort it Z to A. All of this sorting kind of happens in a cache of the records that I'm not actually seeing, that aren't being painted on the screen, so they aren't using form resources to show. But it just resorts them and then gives me the 20 relevant records for this page and paints them onto the screen. In addition to sorting, I can also filter. So if I wanted to search just for, RAF bases, I could just type in RAF. Oh, and by the way, it doesn't matter whether I do it in uppercase or lowercase. I can then go to a filter, and then depending on how I want to apply the filter, we're going to use contains in this particular case so that we can just return any record that uses the term RAF. But I can also filter with a whole bunch of other items here, whether it's, I can use equals instead of contains, in which case it has to be an exact match, or I can use not equal to. If it's a number, I can use greater than or less than, or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. I can have it between some numbers. I've got a whole bunch of filters here. We're just going to use contains. This is probably the most likely one that you're going to use. And again, I'm going to hit contains, and what it's going to do is go into the cache for this record set, and it's just going to pull any of the records that have the term RAF in it. So while I will get RAF Alconbury or RAF Benson, I'm also going to get something here, aircraft field. So RAF is in aircraft. So it's going to pull just the records I want. And of course, now I filtered this. I only have 7 items in one page. So this is great. It gives me access to all this external data. I can have basically a record set of any size. This just happens to be the 800 or so airports that I was able to generate out of Mockaroo. But it can be any size of data set because it doesn't use the resources to display like a regular process director form field would. It just doesn't have all of that overhead. In fact, it radically slashes the overhead and allows me to have many thousands of records that I can sort and that I can filter to find the data that I want. Now, why am I doing this? Well, I've got all of this external data. I need to grab some of it and place it into a form. So what I want to do is I want to be able to have this record set accessible to me. And the way that I make it accessible is I place it on the form. Most of the time, it is just going to be hidden. I don't want to see it all of the time. I don't need access to it all the time. I only need access to it during the data entry process. We have used this on some applications that we have built. Indeed, the whole data list control arose out of an application that we built for one of our customers. And we just took that data list control, which for that particular use case, we kind of embedded into a form all by itself. It wasn't a UI control. And that was the control that we decided this use case works so well for this customer, we really need to make it available to everyone. So this needs to be a form field or a form control that everyone can use. But in most cases, I don't actually want to see it on the form. Sure, I want to see the data that I'm going to pull from it, but I don't want to see the actual source data itself except during data entry. So, well, in most cases, it's going to be hidden until you need it. Then when you need it, you can simply show it. You can filter it as you want to find the items you want. Once you've found the 2 items, so these 2 REF bases here, I'll just click Add Row Data. And it could not find control. It may have been deleted. Not sure what happened there. This all worked this morning when I ran it. See what I mean about whether it works or not? So let's try her again. REF contains, and let's check REF Alconbury and REF Benson. Let's hit Add Row Data. And it is not working, and I have no idea why it is not working. I literally did this just this morning. So I have no idea what is going on. That's fine. I have another copy of this, so we can actually run it. So let's go back to status quo ante. Let's go back to update and run again. Let's show it. Let's pick a record. Let's hit Add Row Data. Well, this is not optimal. This is not what I wanted to happen, and I don't know what's going on here with this. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to leave this server, even though I ran this this morning, and it all worked. I have no idea why it's not working now. So we're going to swap servers. This is a different server. This is my documentation server. So we're going to run it from here. I have no idea what happened. I literally ran it at 9 o'clock this morning as a last minute check. And so I'm a little irked that it isn't running now. So let me pull my content list up. Just going to make life a lot easier if I can see the content list. Don't like seeing both content lists. That's not good, but this is a development server. Data list. There we go. There's my data list form. Let's run it. Oh, this opens forms big because this is not set the way the other system is set. It's also not as pretty, but that's okay. It has everything. So we're just going to run that. We're going to click Add Row Data, which is also not pretty. But this is what the other application was doing this morning and what it should be doing now. Oh, we're not showing the whole form. So let's do that. So here's my data list. It's the same thing. It's all the the airports. You select some airports, click add row data, ugly button, sorry. And then it throws your airport down here into an array. So I need the data. So I just want to grab it and I want to throw it into the array. Now I think in this particular one, I don't have the elevation showing. So I must have turned that off and it's not transferring. So I'm going to have to go back in and fix that. But I'm going to rebuild it anyway. So for now, we're just going to live with it. And I am going to go back to the other server and attempt to rebuild it off of there. But in terms of just the demo, this is what we want to do. If I want to use different airports, I picked the wrong ones. Well, that's fine. I'll just go ahead, click that, and it will get rid of the 2 airports that I had picked and replace them with this one. Or if I just want to add newer airports, I can just pick them and click add row data, and it's going to add them to well, in this case, it's going to add them to an array. It may or may not be an array that you want to add the rows to. It may be a non-array control and you just want to set the value, in which case you can't select obviously multiple items like you would in an array. But this allows me to build an array. The thing is, once I've grabbed the data that I want to grab off of this, then I can just go ahead and rehide it, right? And so now it's gone and I don't have to worry about it anymore. It doesn't take up any more space on my form. It just disappears off of my form and I can go ahead and continue with what other data entry I need to make, and then I can just hit the submit button. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build this from scratch and try to run it. We are going to try to run it on the other server. So I am going to switch back over to the training server, which is where that's where my data is anyway. So we're going to go over to training and we're going to run it off of that server. So back to training. And once again, I just like having my content list up, and let's go back and let's just try her one more time. I'm not sure why it wasn't working, but what am I trying to do? Oh, I'm wanting to hit run. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm now all flustered because it wasn't working right. And it's still doing that get form object by ID. Huh. I don't know what the issue is. That's just something that cropped up new. It wasn't doing that this morning. I wonder if it's some change that I made on the form and didn't realize, but that's okay. I have my data and we're going to just do this from scratch and hopefully it'll work from scratch. If it doesn't, we'll export it to the other server. I apologize. This all worked this morning when I did it. So why it's giving me that error now, I have no clue where that's coming from. But we're just gonna work our way through it. Our data is in the user database. Let's actually go back and look at the data. This is the data we're going to use. It's actually coming off of an Excel spreadsheet. I already have a data source that is built that connects to my internal user database. So all of the database is coming out of this airports.xlsx spreadsheet that that contains the 826 rows. So that's the data we want. I've already got the airport data source that is already configured. So I am going to rebuild the data source for this. Usually what we're going to do is we're going to base the data list control on a business value. And I need to create that business value. The business value actually exists, but we're just going to go ahead and recreate it because I'm going to need to make some SQL changes to it as this thing progresses, assuming that, of course, it all works and I can transfer my data without seeing that error. But we're gonna power through this, and the first thing we have to do is build our business value for it. So I'm just going to call this business value webinar airports. And I'm going to hit OK there. I'm going to go. I'm just going to call this data list webinar as my group and value property so I can find it easily later. And we're going to hit update there. Great. Now we can go to configure our business value. Our data source is the airport's data source. So we will go into the completed sample. We'll go into data. There's the airport data source. I'm going to test it. Test connection succeeded. It should only have one table in it, which is sample airports, and it does. So it's going to make my life a little easier to pull this data. So I am just going to pull, select, and at this point, I'm just going to hit star. I don't think I actually want star, but we're just going to start with select star. And I'm going to show you how to fix fields that we don't want in the data source control itself. So select star from sample airports. I don't want a where clause yet. We are going to need one, but I'm not going to add it in right now. I'm just going to do an order by let's order by airport name. That might be a little confusing because the codes will probably be way out of order. But for right now, we're just going to order by airport name. We're going to test our query. That's going to pull all of the data back that we have for all of these airports. I'm just going to pull the first 100 records either. I do want to note that because I'm sorting it by airport name, my ID numbers are going to be all higgledy-piggledy, right? Because the data was not sorted by airport name in the database. This is one of the reasons why sorting can be so important whenever you're pulling a business value, so that you can just ensure that whatever order the data is in, I can pull it back in whatever order I want it. In this case, I'm sorting it by the airport name, which I think we'll live with here for this one. I think in the other one, I had it sorted by airport code, so it sorted out differently, but it doesn't matter. We now have our data. Obviously, I can add columns as properties, so I'm just going to go ahead and automatically add the columns as properties to my business value. I'm going to need a parameter eventually, but not at the moment. Right now, this is just the base business value that I want, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. So now I've got my business value. Now I need the form where I'm going to use this business value in a data list. So I'm going to create a new form definition. We're just going to call it webinar or data list. Data list webinar form. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK and open our form up for form design. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to drop in a section control. And the only reason I'm going to drop it in is because I want to, we'll show and hide it a bit later. But I want the data list control to be in a section. So I'm just going to go ahead, create a section control, and we'll call it section data list, and we'll give it the text airport data, and we'll keep everything as is for that section control. We're done configuring it. And now we're going to drop in the data list control. So the data list now has, it exists in its own menu. There are plans to add some other data list related things in this menu, but for the moment, it's only the data list control itself. So I'm just going to drop a data list control onto the form. Now that I've done so, let's go over all of the different configuration options that we have for it. Currently on the data list, and we do plan to expand this, I only have two selection modes. Well, first of all, let me change the name. We'll call this airports data list. So as I was saying, selection mode. I have two modes, no selection and row selection. This control does have the capability for other selection methods, such as selecting a single cell, or even, I believe, selecting a single column. And we decided not to go ahead and implement them because even though there are use cases for them, we thought it was best just to get this out the door with the most common use case. So the most common use case will be row selection. I'm going to select it and I want to pull data from the entire row. I don't have to pull all of the rows data. If I select a row on the set form data, obviously I have to connect a particular column to a particular field. So if I only wanted to pull one cell out of a data list, I certainly could do that. That would just happen to be the only column that I used in a set form data action. So the row selection also encompasses cell selection as well. So we didn't feel it was necessary to do both at this point. If you do put no selection, it will make it no selection. My data will just be a list of data that I can look at, but I can't do much with. So in most cases, I am going to want to pull data out of this data list, and I am going to want to place it into the form. And so I'm going to pick row selection. Then we come to virtualization type. There are two types, there are two types of virtualization, and one is none. Remember a few minutes ago, I explained that what happens is you've got this record set, but we're going to keep that in a cache. And we're only going to paint on screen the number of records that are on a page. I was using pagination as the virtualization type. So the ability to keep all of this data in a cache and not refer to it and not paint it on the screen, except for the actual records that I'm looking at the moment, is called virtualization. So I have this big set of data, but I'm not actually showing you all of the data. Even though I've got buttons down here, if I pick pagination, or if I pick the other type, visible rows, I'll have a huge long scroll bar. I'm still not painting those records. Those records don't actually exist in the control if I'm not looking at them on screen. Whatever method of virtualization I choose, the system is only going to paint the number of records that are visible on screen. So there are two ways of doing this. Pagination, which we've looked at, where you just say, okay, I just want to show this page by page, and I want a page size of 10, 20, or 50 records, and that's it. And then it is going to show me these pagination buttons on the screen, and each page is going to show me the number of buttons that I have, or the number of rows that I have selected for pagination. And those will be the only rows that get painted on the screen. I could have 10,000 rows of data, but I'm only going to look at in this case, at 20 at a time. There is an alternative method. It's called visible rows. In this case, it will not show you the pagination controls. They won't exist. You will be looking at it as if it were a single page. What you will see over on the right side of the screen is a scroll bar. And it's basically a scroll bar that is an unending scroll bar until you get to the last record in the record set, in which case you've scrolled to the bottom. This is a little more complex and a slightly more resource-intensive way of doing virtualization. Again, you have a height control that has to be set on the data list control. Well, it doesn't have to be set, but if you don't, it's going to be inconveniently short. Let me just put it that way. So you do need to set a height. So however many records fit into that height is what is going to be painted onto the screen. As you scroll, records that scroll off the top of the screen obviously get unpainted. They just get dropped from memory. And the records from the bottom of the screen that scroll into view, they get painted as they're preparing to scroll into view. So as I scroll through the record set, I'm actually doing a lot of unpaint and paint operations as I scroll. That's a little more resource intensive because I'm now doing sort of this on-demand paint for every single row as I scroll. It's not a huge burden, but it is a bigger burden than pagination. Pagination, it knows what 20 records it needs to paint. It paints them all at one time. It's not going to paint anything else while I scroll up and down because unless I have this set so large that it will show 20 records at the same time, vertically large. Even the scrolling doesn't matter. It's going to go ahead and paint those 20 records, and then it's just going to be done. And so the scrolling up and down that I do in pagination is not going to require any more paint operations to pull this virtualized data out of the cache and paint it on the screen. It's just going to give my 20 records, paint them, and then it'll let me scroll as I want. So those are the two virtualization methods that are available. And we recommend that you use one of these virtualization methods. I think my personal favorite is pagination. That's not a suggestion that you use it, but I think it is the least resource intensive on an ongoing basis, or at least at the very least, the pagination. The pagination is the only thing that invokes the screen painting function, pulling stuff out of memory and then painting it onto the screen. So it only takes up those paint resources when I change pages. Whereas if I'm just scrolling back and forth through 826 records, then every time I scroll, I'm running paint operations in the background. Like I said, it's probably not that big of a deal. It's probably not that much more resource intensive, but I think in general, pagination for me is the best choice. You may have a different opinion. Where we will not have a different opinion, I don't think, is in picking none. Because if you pick no virtualization, it's going to paint all 826 or 5,000 records onto the screen. That is going to be a bit of a problem. You're probably not going to want to do it that way. So we do not recommend. In fact, I think I was the one that suggested that we add not recommended as the virtualization option. Look, if you only have, a couple of records, I guess it's fine. But if you only have a couple of records, you're probably not using the data list control. Anyway, we're expecting you to use large record sets. So we do recommend that you pick one of the two available virtualization methods, whichever one you think works best for your particular use case. There are below that several other properties that you can configure in terms of how you want the data list to work. So by default, they're all turned off. So by default, I can't do any column filtering. I can't do any sorting. I can't do exports to PDF or anything like that. So let's come back to these after I actually get us some data. But put a pin in this. We are going to look at that and just see how it changes how the data list control works in the UI. For the width, I am just going to go ahead and set it to 100%. Percent is the default here, so it will fill up my entire screen horizontally. Height is done in pixels, however. I do want to decide how high I want it or how tall I want it. I think in this case, I'm going to go with 600 pixels to display it. Now, if I run the form now, it won't display anything. I don't actually have any data to display. So if I save and run the form, it's going to be, kind of empty, but we can take a look and just see how the configuration that we've done so far will work. So we're having to wait a little extra long time because the form has to be cached. SDK error, specify a business value ID. Well, it is very sparse. It's so sparse, it's not going to show me anything because I did not specify the business value. Okay, well, great. I got to have some data or it's not going to show me the control at all. So let's go to field properties. Let's set the default value for this thing. So we're going to go to default value and we are going to set it to, I believe, object information, content item, and I need to pick the business value that I created. And actually, I hope I'm doing this right. It's training, data list, webinar, and webinar airports. That should be it. So now let's go ahead and try to give her another run. And once again, I'll have to cache the form before it displays since we're making changes to it. So I did figure out why sometimes in the webinar this takes so long. I talked to the engineering team, and the problem is that whenever I'm creating these forms, Process Director has to make a cache of them the very first time they display. And so since I'm constantly changing the forms, it's having to rebuild that cache. That's why sometimes it gets a little painful watching these forms show up here. But okay, now that I have set the default value, which I was going to talk about in more detail, we can see that I have my business value showing up. Now, the reason I wanted to show it to you now is if we look up here at the top, it doesn't do anything. It's pretty empty. It gives me my headings here, but they don't do anything. They don't operate the way that the other one did. And that's because of the settings we were looking at earlier. So now that I have this and I have data, let's again talk about how we're getting the data in here. So just like setting a knowledge view control on a form, or some of the other things where we use content list items, like whenever we're doing case management, we need to pick a content list item as the data source for it. We have to do the same thing here. Process Director needs to know where this data is coming from, and I need to specify a content list object that is providing the data, specifically the business value that is supplying the data. One of the things that always confuses me, even to this day, is whenever this arises, the question is always, do I go to business values and pick the business value from here? Because, I mean, it is in here somewhere, data list webinar airports, and this should give you a clue that you're going the wrong way. And I'll tell you why, because I'm looking for the object that provides the data. I'm not looking for the data itself. When you go to business values, what Process Director wants to give you is the value from one of the properties of a selected business value. So when I go to business values and I pick webinar airports, and then it gets me to webinar airports ID, airport name, airport code, these are just field values. So this is not going to work in the field properties. I do need to go to content item, which is in object information and content item. And then I need to actually specify the name of the object itself, which is, webinar airports. I just need to pick it out of the content list as a content list object. And this will be the object that provides my data. So, and I think I did this a couple of weeks ago live in a webinar where the first thing I did is I went to business values and I got to the fields. I was like, this doesn't look right. Wasn't right because that's not what you do. You have to grab the content item. Once the content item is set, Process Director knows where the data is coming from, and it can, as we saw just a minute ago, generate the data list that we want to generate. But now let's go back to the data list tab, and let's talk about these properties here. So each one of these properties actually changes the display of the data list control whenever it shows up on the form. So let's turn on sorting and run the form. This is going to get super tedious if it's going to take me forever to open the form. Every time because it has to be recached. So I may just turn all these things on so we can see the change. But if I just pick sorting, then I can now sort inside the data list control by clicking on the sort icons. And obviously, by default, it's going to sort ascending, then it's going to sort descending. So it's going to go from, Z or Z for our Canadian friends to A, or then I can just go back to the default sort order. The sort order that I'm doing here has no effect whatsoever on the sort order that is specified in the business value. So let's make a discrimination. When I see both the up and down arrows, what that means is that this column is unsorted. Essentially, what it means is that this column is being shown to me in the order in which it appears in the database. Now, if you'll remember, whenever we created our business value a minute ago, we created it alphabetically by airport name. And so that is my default sort order. I can change that sort order, but if I go back to the default order, it's always going to appear sorted by airport name. So at the end of the day, even though I do have independent sorting available to me inside the data list control, I still have the default sort order in which the records were first sorted when the business value was invoked. And that sort order ultimately will be the sort order that governs how the data is sorted in the business value. Now, there are several other things that we can do. So if I want to turn on the filtering, or I want to turn on the additional properties that will show up here at the very top that enable me to, export to PDF or refresh the data, assuming the data needs to be refreshed, I'm going to have to do that here by turning all of these on. Now, there is one called static header that we do want to look at. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it off for now, but I'm going to turn everything else on because I don't think we want to keep refreshing this form 10 times and waiting for it to load for, all of these properties. So let's just let's turn everything on but static header. And I'll show you what the purpose of static header is. And once again, we'll wait for the form to load. Wait a second. I do appear to have a Q&A. I've seen similar issues a few times with our data list implementation where the set data fields randomly disassociate. Okay. That's not good, but if that appears to be in the set form data. So we'll go back and look and see if that is a fix a bit later. And I did not want to do that. I wanted to answer live. Done. So thank you. Yeah, it's happening when I do call the set form data. So maybe that's the deal where there's just some dissociation with the set form data. If we have time, we'll go back and look at that later. I mean, I'm now building it live, so this is what we're seeing. All right, so now we've got our set form data redisplayed. And of course, at the top, we can see our refresh button. The refresh button is not going to really do anything in this particular data list because this is a static list of airports. It never changes. If you have data that has a much higher degree of currency, you may need to refresh that data. So you may need to actually recall the business value because once I open the form, the business value gets called and whatever data is in that business value is what it's going to show. And it's going to keep showing me that same data. It has pulled the data. Now, if your data has a high degree of currency, this would be unusual, but not unheard of. Then you might want to refresh that data periodically. And the only way to do it is to give you a refresh data button. And that's what this is. You click it, it'll recall the business value and re-pull the data for you. There is an export to PDF. So if you click that, it will export to PDF. It will take all of the data. And in this case, it'll take all 800 records and it will take them to PDF. So there you go. There is my PDF export of my data. Yay. And it closed it replaced my form. Didn't want that to happen. So let's let's go back, look at her again. As soon as it will deign to give me the form. There we go. I can also export to CSV. Trust me, we've seen the export to PDF. We know it works. The export to CSV works as well. I can clear all of my filters. I don't have any filters. So let's just say starts with A. Starts with A. Okay, so these are all of my airport codes that start with A. And I might have another one, country code. I don't know what MA is, but fine. Country code starts with the MA. Okay, I've got 3 records. So I'm showing 3 out of my 826 or so records. If I just want to go ahead and clear all of those, I just hit clear and it clears all of my filters. That's super convenient. I'm going to assume that you're going to want that on all the time. Of course, we have our sorting, and as we've just done, we have all of our filtering. This is working really well. This particular default look for the control is kind of ugly, and you can't tell where the columns are. But we did have column sorting selected, so we can or not column sorting, but column sizing. So we can, in fact, by looking at when our mouse cursor resizes into a double-sided arrow, we can, in fact, resize our columns, even though we can't actually tell where the columns are with this particular visual look. But all of these different properties that we have are all accessed from the data list tab. And I went through all of that and didn't show you the static header, which is what I was trying to show you in the first place. Static header basically affects how scrolling works in the form whenever the data list is displayed. If you're going to use pagination, it's probably not super important which selection you pick. However, please note that as I scroll, my header scrolls off of the screen because it's not static. If I wanted to do a static header, which I certainly could do, then I would need to come here and set static header. And I am going to have to save that change. And then I'm going to go back to my form and let's watch for the spinny to go away to be sure that my form is saved. There we go. It is saved. Now I'm just going to go ahead and refresh my form. And now when I scroll, my header doesn't go anywhere. It stays where it is. I say it's probably not important if you use pagination. I prefer to use static header. I like having the header there all the time. The alternative argument, of course, is that it does take up the amount of vertical space that it takes up on the page. So if I say I only want the page to be, or the data list control to be 600 pixels high, okay, fine, but I'm taking up 60 to 80-ish pixels in vertical height just by having a static header that doesn't scroll out of view. I'm willing to make my data list taller vertically and reclaim that space just by making it larger so that I can keep my header there all the time and still give me an appropriate number of records, or at least a relatively convenient number of records to scroll through without too much trouble. Your mileage may vary on that, but that's what static header does. So I kind of like having it set. Okay, right now we're seeing everything in our data source. We're seeing all of the properties. All of the properties are bound to a column. And as you may have noticed, we're scrolling off to the right-hand side of the page. Thus, we get to our columns property. There are some things that I just don't want to show. It's not important that I show them in most cases. I don't need to see the ID. I do need to see the airport name, the code. I don't think the region code matters much. I don't think the continent code matters much. I do need the name. I do need the airport code. I would like its country. Probably like to know the municipality that it's in. Do I need the GPS code? Eh, probably not, unless I'm doing something really specific. Do I need the elevation? I don't know. Maybe, but I've got 4 fields here that I really just don't want to show. So once I set the data source for this control and it knows what business value is providing the data, only then does the columns tab actually show me anything. It doesn't know, obviously, what business value it is. It can't show me what columns. But now I have control over the columns that I want to see in my data list. So I can just go ahead, run my form again. And we are, for now, done. I'm going to get into the fancier stuff a bit later. But I think we are pretty much done with our data list for now. There is a parameters tab. We are going to have to come back and discuss that parameters tab. You know, maybe I should discuss the formatting tab now, because this does look a little bit ugly. I'm not guaranteeing that what I'm about to do on the formatting tab is going to make it look less ugly, but it will certainly make it look different, because there are some built-in formats that we can set here. I just forget what formats it was that I wanted to set, or what format was set on the other one, because I do kind of like that blue look, although why they picked green as the highlight color, I'll never know. But now I've got a lot more compact data list. So now it's not going to scroll off to the edge of my screen. It's not going to show me too much data. It's just going to give me what I want. So I can actually see where my airports are, what country they're in, what municipality they're in, and their names and codes. So now I've got a much more compact. I don't have, 9 columns here, since I cut 4 of them off. So it's a little more convenient to use. Now I'm going to go ahead and keep it open. I'm going to put it down here so I can click back to it. I do want to talk about the formatting tab here as well. Obviously, you can apply CSS classes. You'll have to know what CSS classes to apply different styling to different elements, or you can just make your life easy and go pick one of the pre-built themes that we use. PubPro. I don't remember that being there. This is the theme we use in the PubPro application that we sell to medical life sciences company. And this did not used to be in here. And now it is in here. It wasn't in there the last time. I kind of like that. So here's what we're going to do. I want to see how it looks on our form. So I'm going to pick the PubPro theme. And this is a theme that we created in-house, our product team did. And so I'm kind of curious as to what it looks like. So it's taking forever for the form to save, but finally it did, and we can refresh. Okay, better, I guess. I kind of like the steel blue. Still a little boring. There are many other, what is the highlight color on this? Okay, the highlight color matches. That I do like. I would like this. Well, first of all, I should have changed the names of my I should have changed the names of my properties, because this is just the database field names. So I hate that. So I probably should have changed that on my setup. But other than that, this kind of looks cool, but I have built-in themes and I have many of them. And it appears that I also turned on all of these fields again. Not sure how that happened. So let me be sure that I save that. Probably should have saved that before I left the tab, but okay. But let me save that and let me refresh this to be sure that that is refreshed. Then we'll go on back to formatting for a second anyway. All right, so saved. Let's go ahead and refresh. There we go. That's back to what I wanted. Oh, by the way, this is really interesting. This is from Makaru. I'm not sure how accurate this data is. So the heights on these airports, oh, they're in alphabetical order. That's awful. I wanted to see what the highest airport was because I happened to see this airport here, which apparently I did not get rid of this duplicate. Darn. It's at 5,355. I'm going to assume that's feet, not meters. So, yeah, kind of curious as to what the highest airport is. That is completely unrelated to what we're doing, however. So, let's go back to our data list control. Let's go back to our formatting. Just to point out that we have all of these different themes that are available. Some of them are just remarkably ugly. Some are better, but you have these pre-built themes. I actually used a theme that I kind of liked in the other form, but I don't remember what it was. It may have been, was it Office 2010 Blue? It may have been. Not that it's important, but in any event, you can set the themes that you want to have set. All right, well, great. So my data list control is now built. It's on the form, but I want to do something with the data on this form. So I need to add some other controls here so that I can add that data. Let me start off with some non-array fields. So let me just drop in a couple of fields down here, which we'll just call, well, I'll throw it into a table just to, so 3 rows. Don't think I need 3 rows. 2 rows will be fine. 2 columns will be fine. Actually, I didn't even need 2 rows. 1 row would probably have been fine, but fine. We'll live with it as is. We'll call it airport name. Again, I should, of course, be using a label control to put this text in. But in the interest of time, I'm just typing in the text. Airport name, airport code, airport code, and then we'll just drop in this for airport code. And city. Again, we'll call that city. And finally, we'll go with elevation. Since I've given myself 4 fields, I'll just give myself 4 fields. What have I done? Whatever it was, it's not what I wanted to do. I'm not even sure how I got that field in there. Well, I've never been able to do that before. All right, let's try her again. Elevation. Okay, so do I have all these fields properly named? Airport name, city. Okay, they are properly named. So I've got some fields. Now what I need to do is transfer some data from my data list into these fields. We're going to start off with some non-array fields, but you know what? Let's go ahead and drop an array in here just to do it. And just to get it out of the way, get the configuration done rather than coming back to it. So I'm just going to go ahead, drop in another table. We'll just give it 2 rows and 2 columns. We'll only pull 2 columns for our array. And so we'll go to the top row. Well, let's go to table properties. Let's make this look like a table. So we'll go with border size 1 and cell padding 3. Yeah, that's good. I could set the border color, but I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna take that amount of time to do it. I'm gonna set the background color to our BP Logix color, so 082 F4D. Okay, and I will set the text color to white on that. And oh, I know what that's not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to go with cell properties and set the background color 082 F4D. Thank you. All right, what is happening now? Cell properties 082 F4D. Do I have to put in the Okay, yeah, I had to put in the what do you call it? The pound sign. So we're going to center this text and we'll just call this name and code. And we'll also boldface them. There we go. So I've got name and code, and now we'll create our array. So I will call my array start control array airports. And then I will throw in AP name. So since I'm in an array, I need to give it a different name there. So I'll call that one AP name, and I'll throw in another one here, and I'll call this one AP code. So I'm done with that. And then I will end my array. So now I've got a little array. So I have two types of data here, and I'll call this array in case it's not obvious. And this one, I'm just going to drop in a little header here, and I'll call this non-array. And again, I'll set it to heading 1. There's some other things that we can do just to make the section appear and disappear. It's 11 o'clock. We may have time to get to that, but for right now, let's just concentrate on getting this done. So I've got my two sets of controls that I'm going to grab some data from my data list, and I'm going to transfer it over into actual controls on the form. Now, to do that, I'm going to need buttons. I don't want the buttons to appear if the array isn't here. So I am going to go ahead and I'm going to put those buttons inside the section because I'm going to show and hide the section eventually if we have time, since it's already 11 o'clock. But I'm going to show and hide the section. So I need a couple of buttons here. So I need a button to add non-array items, and I need one to add array items. So I'm just going to go to actions, and I'm going to create two buttons. First, I'm going to throw them in a table just for 2 columns yet. That's all I need. Okay, so now I'm going to put a button in each one of the columns here. This I don't need, that extra space at the bottom. I think that's a little ugly, so I'm going to get rid of that. And now I'm going to drop in 2 buttons. So I'm just going to go to actions and go to button, and I will call this button non-array. And I'll give the text add non-array items. Obviously, in the button properties, I could go in and change the button color on the button text. We're just going to leave the ugly gray default buttons for the meantime. And then we'll just go here and add this button. So again, under actions button, we'll call this button array and add array items. We're going to pause configuration for now. We're just going to go ahead and actually, we can't pause configuration for now. We're going to pause design for now. So we're going to go ahead and save and close our form design. We have our buttons, we have our data list, we have our controls. So now we're going to need to have some set form data actions so that we can pull data from our data list into our two array and non-array controls. Now we're looking at array and non-array controls because I want to demonstrate something. And to demonstrate it, we're going to need to get our set form datas set properly. So we're going to go to the set form data tab here, and we are going to pick our non-array buttons first. So we're going to pick button non-array. We're going to add our actions, and the form field we are going to set, since this is non-array, is going to be our, well, we'll start off with airport code. Obviously, I'm going to need to grab this from my business value. So I'm going to go ahead and pull, oh, I don't want to set this from a business value. Oh, no. I don't want to set this from a business value. This is where it gets a little tricky. I'm so used to setting stuff from business values, but we're not dealing with business values here. We're dealing with a data list control. So under form, if I have a data list control on a form, when I go to the choose system variable dialog box and I go to the form, it gives me a new item, form data list. This item will only show up if I have a data list control on the form. If I don't, it's not going to show me this at all. It's going to end with sentiment analysis. So whether this menu appears or not in the choose system variable dialog box, I have to be in the form, in the set form data, and there has to be a data list control on the form. So I'm going to pick airports data list. Okay, form field, form data list, airports data list. Okay. I've done something wrong, clearly. That's the trouble with the new stuff. This is why I always build an application prior to the webinar so that I can always go back. So it is data list, right? It says data list. I'm not entirely sure why it's not pulling the data list. What is going on here? Airport code. Okay, that is super weird. Why wasn't it showing me this before? Okay, well, it certainly seems to be working now. That was odd. But there we go. There's my data list airports code. And like a business value, I'm going to go ahead and update because it's going to create a little group for my data list so that I can add my other form fields here. I have 4 of them. Okay, well, this is how it's supposed to work. So we're happy. Airport name, and we'll set that to airport name. What did I pick? A country, right? Airport name. No, city. Sorry, it was the city that I picked. So airport, that's municipality in my business value. And then I think I pulled elevation. Yes. And so I will need elevation from right there, and that will fill that. I also have a second button for my array action, which is going to need to be reconfigured, but we're going to give it an initial configuration, but we're going to have to come back and change it. So we're going to go to button array this time. We're going to add the array action. And once again, we're going to set our field. So we have our AP code field that we're going to set. We're going to bind it to, again, form data list, airports data list. Yeah, working like a champ now. And we'll pick that. Okay, we're happy with that. I am again going to update to create my little grouping there, add my form field, and I need the AP name, the airport name, and that will be the airport name property there. So these are my set form datas. This should work. We're going to update and run. And well, that's a little too big for you to see. I'm trying to see if I can get everything on here all at one time. Well, I can get pretty close. Let me make this a little taller. Sorry, I'm just moving things around so we can actually see the action happen live whenever we do this. Okay, so I have a button to add non-array items and a button to add array items. So I'm going to pick 2 items. And apparently I picked a different style than the PubPro style. So I'm going to pick a couple of items. I'm going to pick these 3 items. This is going to be a problem when I click add array items or add non-array items. Because when I click it, it's going to add it, and it's going to add it to the non-array items, but it's going to add it as comma separated lists. So it is adding all of these. Well, it's a lot easier to see over here. Here's my airport code, ZNZ, JOG, and AGQ, and it comes out in a comma separated list. Certainly what I want, and it's certainly what I have selected, but it's giving me a lot of information that it's jamming up this field with comma separated lists. So there is no setting to only select one item. So if you are going to set something to non-array items, then you do need to just pick one item instead of 2. Sorry, I picked 2, so that I get just one item in a non-array field. Now, in general, that's why we went to, or why we are eventually looking into cell selection. So rather than just clicking a row, I can just pick a cell, and having picked a single cell, then I can just set the value of that cell to a particular field. So we can do it simply by cell selection. I think we're actually looking into being able to double click on a cell and having it automatically just get stuck into a form field. But something to be aware of, if I have multiple fields, well, just keep in mind that what's going to happen is if I select multiple rows, rather not fields, but multiple rows in the data list, it is going to throw them into a comma separated list in non-array fields. Now for arrays, of course, it's going to work differently. So when I hit add array items, it's just going to add my items to the array. But there's a trick here too, because I've added these 2 items, they're selected. And now if they're unselected and I go back in and say, okay, well, I want to add another item and add an array item. Okay, that's cool. We're fine. It just adds my single item. However, if I go back, what did I have? Ahuas Airport. So that was checked. And then what was the other one that was checked? Abse Airport. That was checked. Okay. And then there was Agrinion Air Force Base. Okay, fine. So if I were to recheck these and hit add array items, it's going to add them all, even though I've already got them. And in fact, if I hit add array items again, it's just going to keep adding those items. Well, I probably don't want it to work this way. That's probably not a great thing. So I am going to have to go back in and I am going to have to monkey with this array thing. As always, whenever we are creating or adding stuff to an array, we generally like to clear out the array first. So I'm going to go to my array field and I'm going to set the value here to a number, which is going to be 0. And what that will do is that will set the number of rows in the array to zeros. Effectively, that will clear the array. All of the fields will just be gone. They'll be removed from the array, and I'll never see them anymore. And what that enables me to do, because by default, when I do a set form data and I am using an array, what it's going to do is it's going to append rows to the array. That's the default behavior in Process Director, to append rows, which is fine if I'm selecting one row at a time and I want to append it. However, if I have a situation like this where I can select multiple rows, then I may want to clear the array. Now, there is a problem with this solution too. So this is something that you need to think about whenever you are developing your form. And I really didn't need to reopen the form again. I already had one open, but that's fine. Well, once again, let's move this up here, make the form bigger so that we can kind of see everything. So with that set up, if I add array items, it's going to add those 3 fields. And if I come back and say, I don't want that airport listed, and then I hit add array items again, it's just going to remove it. And then I can add ABSY Airport again, and it will add it. And then I can add a Grinion Air Force Base. It's in there twice. I can add it. Oh, wait a second. I did add it twice. I don't want that. So I'm going to uncheck it, and it's going to add array items. And this is great as long as I'm only going to do this once. If I'm going to come back at multiple points in the process, show this data list, because remember, the next time this form reloads, this data list is going to look like this. And if somebody comes in and says, oh, we need Adelaide International Airport, we need to, oh, wait, I've already checked that. We need Ade International Airport. So I need to add that. So I check it and I add array items. It will definitely add it, but it's also going to remove everything else because they weren't checked whenever the form reopened. Nothing was checked. So this provides us with an interesting conundrum. If I'm only going to go in once and make this transfer of data from the data list to the form, okay, fine. Then it's probably okay if I have the array reset to 0 every time, and so that it doesn't append, and I just do this once, get the data I want. Once I have it, I submit the form. Nobody ever looks at the data list again. We're happy. But if multiple people are going to come in, or at multiple times, we're going to come in and select data for transfer, that's not going to be great because it's going to delete the data that was originally there or that was there in the previous iteration. In that case, that's the way your process is going to work. Then setting this array to 0 is probably not a great idea. In that case, it's probably better to run the risk of having the same data repeated, because at least you have the data. And at the end of the day, if you have to, you can get rid of those rows inside the array. I mean, obviously in the array itself, you could throw in the remove row, that has the X icon where you just click on it, it removes the row from the array. So if you do end up with data that is extra, or data that is repeated, then fine, you can just delete it directly out of the array. But this is something you have to think about because of the way that arrays work, because they append by default. But if you go in here and force them to reset, that better match how your application works. You better be doing your array setting process wherever it comes in the form. You probably should only be doing that once. If you've got to go in and pick records multiple times out of this, then you probably want to not reset the array to 0. You're probably just going to want to keep the append behavior, but that means that if you keep the append behavior, then inside your array, you're going to have to review it, periodically and remove rows that have been repeated, because that's likely to be the problem. I would say that having a repeated row is a better and easier problem to fix than deleting 10 rows and replacing it with one row like we did a few minutes ago. That's going to be a much harder problem to fix when all of those rows are gone and the person who removed them doesn't know what he replaced whenever he selected this row. So keep in mind the way that arrays work. And as I'm selecting this data and dropping it in arrays, it's got to match the process that I'm using. Okay, well, we have a working form. It's grabbing our data. It's doing the stuff that we want. And this is probably going to cover 95% of the use cases that you have. But let's talk about another use case. And based on what you had said earlier, and I forget who it was that who told me, but we're going to go back to my original data list form that was just working fine this morning, and we're going to reset this. We're going to reset this binding. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete it, and I'm going to update, and I'm going to reset this binding. So I have my button, and we're going to add an action, and we're going to add AID, and hopefully this will go ahead and whatever went wrong, we'll fix it. That was airport ID. So I think it's ID that is set. Update. Actually, I don't think that is the ID that's set. I think it's code. So let me re-add these form fields here. I think there was only 4 of them. Airport, I think that was the name. Altitude is definitely altitude or elevation. And location, I think, was city. I think it was only those 4 fields. So let me update and run. This is the original form that we were looking at. So let's show. Let's click on my add row data. Okay, still this control has no data to set. Well, that is super weird. Not sure why it's happening. Well, that's fine. I thought I would give it a try. But I still can use it as an example, because now we're going to go a little bit beyond where we were previously, and we're going to do a couple of special things. Now, data lists have the ability, I don't want to leave there. I want to go back to here. Data lists have the ability to, by the way, I'm sorry, did it actually save what I did? Set form data. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is not working, but okay, fine. Apparently I've done something that broke it up. So I want you to notice that I have this name over here. This may be necessary to parse through some data. Let me tell you what I mean. So one of the columns or tabs that we did not look at whenever we went ahead and created our data list in the other form is we didn't look at the parameters tab. And I've got this parameters tab here. There's this field right here. It's called parm. I can pass a parameter to the data source that supplies the data for this particular data list. It has to be a parameter that exists in my data source, and in the data source I created previously, there isn't one. So we're going to have to go back in, as I said earlier, and change some of that SQL syntax and add a parameter to it. But I can pass the value of this parm field to the parameter that I will create that will be called the airport so that I can pull specified data from that parameter. Now, to pass a parameter requires that I have a source value for the parameter that I'm going to pass, which in this case is the parm form field. It also requires that my business value accept a parameter, which it currently does not. So it is going to have to be edited to accept one. So we're just going to go here. And actually, I'm not going to copy that. We're going to go through and do it. We're going to do it simple to hard. So let's go back to my webinar airports business value. And let's do a little reconfiguration there. First thing we're going to need is a parameter, which we're going to call, as I said earlier, airport. So I've got a parameter. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll use airport as a parameter now, because it's basically to search an airport name. You know, we're not going to use airport. We're going to do it a little bit different here. We're going to set up a parameter to pull airports from a particular country. So we have this worldwide global airports database. And for this form, we may only need to pull data from a specific country. If I have a parameter here, then I can do that as needed. So in this case, let's rename the parameter. We'll call it country. So we'll go with a country parameter. And in fact, if we give it a test value, US, which we'll come back to, and we run it, we should just be able to pull like United States airports. Now, if I don't pass a parameter, I still want to return everything. So I'm going to have to change my SQL just a little bit. I think a like is going to work here. I just want to go back and confirm how I had it set up over here. And in fact, yes, like does work. So, well, I'm going to have to rewrite it anyway. I just wanted to be sure that like worked for me. Let me close that form. Don't need that. Let's go back to my webinar airport. So select star from sample airports, because I've already broken format by changing the sort order. So select star from sample airports where airport code underscore code is like, and now I'm going to put in a single quote and a %, because that's the big wild card for anything in SQL. And I need to put my parameter in. So I'm going to need a system variable for my parameter. So I'll just put the curly bracket and use the SQL encoding character to encode it to make it SQL safe. Parm, colon, and I did call it country. And then I will just reverse out of this with my curly bracket, my %, and my single quote, where airport code like country ordered by airport name. So I now have, and I got rid of my test value, which was supposed to be US in my parameter. Let me test my query. Well, look at that. Airport code, country code. No, we're airport code, like, I'm sorry. Nope. And that is airport code, country code. I don't know why this is coming out. You know what? I'm going to need the region code. That's what I'm looking for. It's this column right here. we're region code. That way it has here's US, Canada, Russia. Remember, this comes from Makaru, so the continent and the country code are going to be all messed up because I'm pretty sure that Concord Paget Regional Airport, while it is in North America, is not in Zambia. So I don't think that's the way geography works. So what we need is region code, region underscore code, like US. So with that change, let's run her again. Okay, there we go. So now I'm getting a whole bunch of US airports. So it's weird that the regions are largely right in this sample data, but the country code is wrong. I don't know why the country codes are wrong. Even the continent is correct. It is North America. So super weird the way that this data came out of Makaru, but fine. We managed to get our way there. In the region code, if it is the United States, US works. And I'm going to presume that if it's Canada, CA works. So let's test that query. Yes, so CA works as well. So I get BC, Quebec, Alberta. Okay, great. So that works fine. All right, I'm super happy here that I have a parameter. Now I'm going to need to, now that I have a parameter that works. Oh, and by the way, if I don't put in a parameter, this is why I use the like. So let's get rid of our test value. And now if I test the query, it's going to return everything. So like is really cool. If I don't provide a value for it in like, thanks to these wildcard characters, it's just going to return everything, everything in the database. So it's going to work like the contains operator does whenever you're creating a condition. If you don't provide a value to compare, then it's just going to return everything by default. That's why I like the like in this case, because if I pass it a value for the region code, so in this case, let's say US, then great, it'll just return all the American airports, or Canadian airports or British airports. But if I don't provide it a value, it's going to return everything. So this I like. I've now had to reset my business value and change it a little bit, but for normal use, it's now going to return all of the airports. And if I run my form again, my form is just going to give me, all of the airports when it runs. So we'll update and run it again. And I need to update and run it again so that I can reset it and or refresh it whenever I make changes to the form definition. Okay. Not sure what happened. I must have hit OK instead of update and run. Okay, so we're back here. Again, we've got all of our airports. We're fine. Working exactly the way that we wanted. Now, when we go in and we'll go back to our design view, we'll click on our data list again. Let's go back to parameters. So now that I have a country parameter, I can, well, in this case, I'll just go ahead and hard code it. So our parameter is country, I believe, and we can just pass it US. Country equals US. Let's save it with that configuration. And because I've been using the parameter for this, I don't remember if I need to have quotes or not, or how quotes will work. So we're also going to do a little testing here because I'm going to do it without quotes and I'm going to do it with quotes and see if that changes the behavior, because I honestly don't know, because I've been using a parameter, which by the way, we're about to do anyway. But I am going to run the test. So it now says country equals US. I'm just going to refresh the data set. Oh, there we go. That's exactly what we wanted to see. I refreshed my data set. Note down here at the bottom, if you haven't noticed that all these are American airports, note at the bottom, my data set just changed from 820 some records to 202 records, and my page size dropped from 47 to 11. So now I'm only showing US airports. I've hard coded this US in here, and all I had to do is now reset it. So all of my searching and filtering that happens now just happens inside this 200 page record set. It is possible then, with that in mind, to actually go in and pass a parameter back to the database and to reset the data source to give us different items. Do I need to use this? Let's discuss that later. I'm not sure of a use case for it, although I'm sure it'll be useful for some people, but let's just go ahead and do it. I'm going to create a form field, and I'm just going to call it filter. And since it's a form field, I'm going to have to make a system variable out of it, but I'm going to create a field called filter. And since I know that that's what I'm going to call it, I'm going to go ahead and put in the field here. Oh, by the way, test successful. You don't need to use quotation marks. However, we didn't test the other thing because it seems real weird to me not to put quotation marks around text when I'm doing, programmy stuff. So I want to save this again, and I want to go back. Oh, I closed the form. Oh, rats. Okay, so now that I've hard coded it again, I want to see what it shows me. Is it going to include these quotation marks as literals in the string, or is it just going to take the US? I don't know. I don't know how it'll behave. So we've saved it. I've got my parameter there again. I hate it that it refreshes when it resaves. But we're going to go ahead and run the form, and let's see what it returns. My suspicion is that the quotation marks won't matter. So I would certainly, under normal circumstances, use them kind of without thinking. But since we're all here and looking at it, we're all kind of learning, I thought I would learn along with you. Okay, guess what? Quotation marks, bad. Don't use quotation marks. It doesn't like them. That was, my suspicion was wrong. It wants the actual literal value to make it as simple for you, I suppose, as possible. Not sure I like that behavior, but that is the behavior. So we're just setting a value. Although honestly, I don't think it was designed with the idea that we'd be passing literals in mind. I think it was designed with the idea that we would be doing what we're just about to do, which is use filter as the parameter that we were going to pass. So now that I have done that, I've got to go back and retype filter there. So that will be the parameter that I pass. Now we will save it again. Oh, I didn't want to save it again. I've already got the form open in Design View. I should have just put the filter field in. So I am going to throw a filter field in. You could do this with free text or what have you. I'm going to do it with a with a drop down just to pick some specified values so that I don't have to keep retyping it. But you can do it with a form. I mean, several ways that you can do it. We'll just do it with a drop down because I think a drop down will be kind of cool. So that's what we'll do. So let's go up here. Can I get over there to that side? We'll hit enter and we'll go up here and we'll go filter and we'll just do a drop down in here. And I said I would call it filter, so I better name it filter, huh? Or it won't work. So here we'll go with select one. What time is it? It is 11:40. I'm kind of surprised I got 2 hours out of a single control, but it is a new control. So we'll go with Canada, CA. Oh, wait. I need to fill out that select one, don't I? select one, colon, quote, quote, Canada, colon, CA, UK, well, Britain, colon, UK, not UIK, and USA, colon, USA. Technically, I don't really need to do it that way, but fine. There we go. Stop trying to help me spell check. So that is what my filter should show. So what I should be able to do now is save and run the form. And it'll come up as soon as it caches. There we go. So now I've got all of my data. You know what? I forgot to do something. And we need to do it. And we need to resave it. We need to go to field properties. We need to make this an event field because I need to be able to grab that data. So let's resave it again. And once it resaves, I'll have to refresh the form. Come on. So now I'm having to really watch the clock because I did want to put in the visibility thing here real quick. Okay, great. So let's refresh the form. And so what I should be able to do now is pick Canada and then refresh. Why isn't it refreshing? What have I done wrong? Okay, I'm not sure what I've done wrong. I've obviously configured it wrong. We're running out of time. So since I know the other form works, except for the set form data action for whatever weird reason, we're just going to run this one because I've already got it built in here. In this case, it just happens to be a text box, and it's on the airport name too, not the country. So it's going to be a little more random. It's just going to be matching a search term that I put in. In this case, it is filtering on the airport name. I probably should have showed you the parameter. In fact, let me do that while we're here. We go to the parameters tab. We did look at it. So it's airport equals parm. Parm is the field. I probably messed up on the system variable somewhere, but in the interest of time, we'll just go ahead and do it this way. So name contains, again, let's pull RAF. We'll do a refresh. These are all of the RAF bases that are in the system. Well, there's also aircraft bases that are in the system. So if we go Air Force, I should be able to pull just US Air Force. Now, this is not a filter that we're applying. Remember, we are actually now filtering. Well, it is a filter technically, but it's not one of these filters. We're actually restricting the data that gets returned from the database. We're not just looking at 6 items in this particular iteration of the data list. We only have 6 items in our entire record set. That's the whole set of data that we have. Let's use craft. Okay, well, there's a Cessna aircraft field. Let's try enter. That'll give me a lot of airports, but not all of them, right? Okay, 74. So anything that is that says international, basically, is going to get returned their 74 items. These are the only 74 items in the entire database that I am looking at. So filtering changes what I see from the original record set. The parameter changes the record set that gets returned in the first place. So it's important to remember that we are doing two fundamentally different things by using this parameter. So if you have a parameter like this, like the one that I've created, and I don't know why this one isn't working in the other form, probably because I misconfigured it somewhere while I was talking. Let's give it one quick check. Filter is the name, I thought. Is country the parameter? Let's go back to my parameter. Let's go back to my airport. It is country. Okay, well, I'm not sure why it's not working on this form, but again, that's the parameter. While we're here, we're running out of time. So let's go back to this form and we'll talk about one last thing, and that is the show and hide. All right, so what I've done is I've dropped a switch control at the very top of the form. And the reason that I dropped a switch control there is because I can change the text from show to hide data list. As you can see, hide data list, show data list. So with the switch control is basically a type of checkbox. It doesn't look like a checkbox. It's really cool. It has more cool looking stuff. But like a checkbox, it basically has a binary value. It's either checked or unchecked. It's either 1 or 0. Like here, I've set the default value as 0 because I want it to be unchecked. So in the section into which I put the data list control, I put it into a section for a purpose because I wanted to show and hide that section. By the way, that's why I put the filter inside the section and why I put my add row data inside the section. I don't want to see that add row data button unless my data list is displaying. So the section gives me a great place to put all this. If you don't like using a regular section because you don't like the visual representation that it has on the page, if you just wanted to use an embedded section, you could certainly do that. But in my section itself, in its field properties, I'm using my switch control, which again, remember, is just a checkbox that looks cool. My switch control is being evaluated as to whether it is checked or not. If it is checked, then I want to show this section, which gives me my data list, gives me all of the actions that are associated with that data list. If it's not checked, of course, obviously, I want it to be hidden. So I have the otherwise hidden checkbox set there. Now, it's important that this happen when I check the box or when I flip the button. So this needs to be an event field so that it calls the event. When the event fires, the evaluation of visibility conditions occur for the section control, and then it shows or hides it. If you've done, visibility stuff like this before, you probably already know how it works. So what that enables me to do is to open up the form. It's the default value for this, the switch control is set to 0 or unchecked. So when the form initially displays, if the form will display, it's hidden. And then, of course, it simply becomes a question of, clicking this to show and hide the data list control at my convenience. If it's hidden, obviously, I just see the code here. You know what? I think I know what the problem is. Yeah, I do know what the problem is. These fields are gone. That's why this form is erroring out. All of my array fields are gone. Ah, well, mystery solved. You can't use a set form data on fields that don't exist. That is curious. And they are, by golly, marked for deletion. Huh. All right, not sure what I did. Apparently, I deleted all of the array fields. So not a process director problem, clearly a me problem, where I deleted all of the fields. Doesn't matter. I rebuilt them, so we're fine. And it really doesn't matter because I have another copy of this that I can just re-import back into the system. Nah. So, all right, now I know why that failed. That was just me somehow deleting all of the fields on that form. Okay, so we've done the data list control, we configured it, we themes, we did the parameters, and we did the visibility. Hey, we did everything. All right, we did everything. We're done. So as always, why isn't the stop share button working in Zoom? Okay, well, that is not great. So I guess you don't get to look at me. I don't know whether you consider that a blessing or a curse. Have a great week. We got through everything. The list control is now available for you in 6.1.x. There's going to be a new version released very, very soon, which is going to fix some issues that we found in 6.1. So that's going to be showing up in the very near future. Did I say have a great week? If I didn't, have a great week. I will see you on Tuesday for the Feature Spotlight webinar, hopefully, and next Thursday for the training webinar. Until then, have a great week. So long.